Hello science friends, and welcome to Lexi in the Lab. My name is Lexi and I work at the Asheboro Public Library in the children's room. Today's experiment is going to be making butter, because what's better than science you can eat? In this experiment, we're going to learn about physical changes. Making butter is an easy way to demonstrate how to do that. So what is a physical change? In science, we have chemical changes and physical changes. Physical changes are changes to a substance that does not alter them on the molecular level. So, change in matter, for example. If you have water and it changes to ice, then back to water, then to vapor, that is a physical change. It did not change the molecules that the water was made of. It only changed the physical appearance of the water. Another example is if you have a piece of paper and you cut it into small pieces, if you scrunch it up or if you rip it, it's still paper. It just looks different because you changed the physical components of the paper. So let's get right into this experiment. For this experiment, you will need some salt, a small bowl, a jar with a lid, and some heavy whipping cream. This is a great experiment to do with the whole family, so you can all take turns shaking up your butter because your arms may get a little bit tired. If you do need to stop and pause, that's okay. It's not going to damage or undo the process that you've already started. So we're going to start by adding some heavy cream into our jar, and the exact amount doesn't matter, but we're going to aim for about half full. And the heavy cream can be cold straight out of the refrigerator, or if you want to sit it out and let it become room temperature, that's fine too. If it is cold straight out of the refrigerator, the process does take a little bit longer versus having it room temperature. The reaction will happen a lot faster. So now that we have our heavy cream into our jar, we're going to tighten the lid on really good, and we're just going to start shaking. And you'll hear the heavy cream sloshing around in there. We're going to shake it for about a minute or so. Again, this does require a lot of shaking, so if your arms get tired, pass it on to someone else in your family, whether it's mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, it doesn't matter. The whole family can get in on this experiment. So after about a minute or so of shaking, you'll hear that it starts to get thicker, so you can open up your jar and observe what's inside. So now your liquid has become a lot thicker. This is actually whipped cream like you would buy at the store. So if you want to taste it, you can. It's not going to taste like anything. It's not going to be sweet like the whipped cream you buy at the store because we didn't add sugar and vanilla. But if you want to try that experiment, that's all you need is some heavy whipping cream, sugar, and vanilla. You can make your own whipped cream at home just in a jar. So it is a lot thicker than it was when we first poured it in there. So we're going to keep shaking. We're going to put our lid back on there really tight and shake for about another minute. So now that I'm shaking it, I can't really hear anything, but eventually you'll start hearing the liquid sound again, and that's the butter starting to form. So as you're shaking it, you can start to see that a mass is forming. That is your butter. So you should start to hear, you can see through it here, you should start to hear liquid sounds again, which means that the butter is forming into a mass and the liquid is actually buttermilk. So keep shaking. I know your arms are probably tired because mine are. Can you guys see that? Let's open it up and look inside. Look, we started out with a liquid and now it's like a solid almost. So now here's where you can add in your salt. And if you want to add any other types of herbs and spices, feel free to do so. This is your butter. You can season it with whatever you like. We're going to put the lid back on it and give it another shake. You should start to hear it sloshing around again, which means that you have some buttermilk in there. That's going to be your liquid, and the solid is your butter. You guys hear that? So that is your butter and your buttermilk. So now we're going to open it up. And if you have a small strainer, you can put your strainer over your bowl and pour your butter out into your strainer and then leave your buttermilk in the bowl. I didn't bring my strainer, so I'm just going to use a spoon and get my butter out. Look at that, you guys. So now I have my butter here in my bowl. We started out with heavy cream. Now we have the perfect butter for your breakfast toast in the morning or whatever you like to put it on. And then here in our jar, we have our buttermilk that we can use for bacon, make some biscuits, or whatever you'd like to use it for. You have your buttermilk here in the jar, so you can store that in the refrigerator and save it for later if you decide that you want to use it for baking. So here's what happened. The cream contains a lot of fat molecules. When you shake the cream, you're agitating the solution. This physically breaks down the lipoprotein membranes of the fat molecules. Lipoprotein membranes are molecules that are a combination of fats and proteins. The more you shake, the more the membranes break down, causing the fat molecules to clump together. You also introduce a lot of air into the solution. The fat molecules starting to clump together around the air is what caused us to have the whipped cream. So remember whenever we paused and I told you that we had made whipped cream, but it didn't taste like the kind you would buy in the store? That's because there was air inside of the jar that you were creating from shaking it, and those fat molecules were wrapping around the air. And then as we continued to shake, the fat molecules clumped together more and more. Those bubbles started to pop, which gave us the buttermilk. So eventually we end up with a solid mass, which is our butter, and a liquid, which is our buttermilk. So we have our butter and we have our buttermilk, which all came from the whipping cream. This is a physical change. In honor of April being National Science Month, we have partnered with the North Carolina Science Festival to do all things science. So hop on to randolphlibrary.org to find out all of the fun science things that the Asheboro Public Library is doing. If you have questions, you can always give us a call at 336-318-6804. Thank you guys for tuning in to Lexi in the Lab. I hope you'll join me next month for another fun science experiment. See you later. Bye.